Should you get the Garmin inReach Messenger or the Motorola Defy? I'm going to tell you a few reasons why you want one versus the other. These are both two-way satellite communicators, and this Motorola might be the least expensive on the market, but they're both good devices. The Messenger is a true communicator, and you can actually communicate on the device itself without being synced to a smartphone. This Defy, you really have to have synced with your smartphone to get some of the features from it. Well, let's talk about the Defy real quick. It's a really small device. It's actually smaller than the Messenger. It's very thin also, and it has the SOS right here. On this other side, it has power, and it has a check-in, and so you can at least let people know that you're okay, that you checked in. Well, you might not be okay, and you might hit check-in and hit it a whole bunch of times and go, I'm not okay, but it doesn't really tell you that. It's just a check-in so people can see where you're at. But again, you can use the SOS there. There's not a lot to this device. If you don't have it synced with your smartphone, you're going to get a limited capabilities or features. When you have it synced with your smartphone, you're going to be able to see maps, and then you can message on your device on your actual smartphone, which makes it more convenient because you can't message on this one. You have to be synced. This is an issue with the Zoleo, the ACR Bivy Stick, and the Defy, is that you cannot actually do anything on this as far as messaging. It's only SOS and the tracking. Now, I might have missed something, but there's a limited amount of things you can do with this not being synced with your smartphone. Now, on the inReach Messenger, you have this screen, you got the SOS, and you've got these arrows down here on the bottom and OK. So you can start tracking, you can two-way message, you can hit SOS, then you can get weather, and you can track back. The track back feature isn't as good as the Mini 2, but it will give you an arrow pointing the direction, and it'll give you the distance, and it'll do it every 10 minutes. So it's putting these hidden tracks down, and then you can go in here and pick which point you want to navigate to. So I guess if you were out a long ways and maybe a multiple day hike, you could pick a point and said, my most recent point, and navigate to it. Even though it's still as the crow flies, you know, you might not be heading that direction. It might be 10 minutes, I'm going to go here. The next 10 minutes, I'm going to go to the next one, and so on. If you want to know more about that, I'm going to take this Messenger out for a longer trip and just see how it does with that 10-minute tracking to be able to track back, and how easy is it to do. Anyway, those are some of the differences, but there is another thing about the Motorola, and I believe it uses satellites in a higher orbit. I don't think there's as many of them as the Garmin's use, but Chris, the hiking guy, he was doing a review on this, and he was saying that he thinks there's more accuracy with this, and that's maybe true, and I'll never argue with Chris. So the main thing here, I want to just hit on the highlights of these and why I might want one versus the other. If I'm going to go on a camping trip and I'm going to just go to a place where I already know how to get there, navigation is not an issue, then I can take this, put it on the picnic table, or have it with me, and I can two-way message if I don't have satellite service. That's the main reason I'm going to use this. If I go on either a backpacking trip or a hiking trip, then I'm probably not using this because I'm going to go use my Mini 2 because this can't navigate. So you can say, well, the Motorola can navigate. Yes, and that's why it is nice. I don't think the battery is that great on it, but you can always take a device to recharge. But I had some issues when I did a field test on this, and I'll leave the information for that in the description below. But I had some issues with the Motorola. I was going out here farther into Colorado. I knew I didn't have cell service, and I was tracking, and I was looking at my maps, and then I was sending out messages. I actually don't remember the issues I was having, but I wasn't super happy with the Motorola. I remember when I was testing it, and I was here in the South Denver area, and I wasn't able to get this to find my location because I had it synced to my smartphone, and I was trying to make sure I understood it before I went out and did a field test. Well, I had to call the tech support, and there was two things. One is, in every situation with every other device, I was able to put these in the window, a big window, and I would get satellite service, and so I didn't have to take it outside. That was not the case here. I had a huge window, and I was pointing south because they say you want to have these pointing more south because that's where the satellite is. Something like that. Anyway, I was pointing south through this massive window. I couldn't get any reception at all. It would not find my location. So I called tech support, and they said, yeah, the windows can cause the problem. So they said, go out in the parking lot. So I did. So I went out in the parking lot. I pointed this to the south, and sure enough, I was able to see my location. But when I was on this field test, and I went out to Woodland Park where I had cell service, and I started heading north into Deckers where there is no cell service, and I was at a campsite up there. Also, about the time I hit Deckers, I started noticing some problems because I had this in the dash of my truck, but I was going north, and then I was in mountains, you know, really big mountains around here in Colorado, and I started having problems. And again, I don't don't remember exactly what the problems were, but they were irritating me because it wasn't working as well as the Garmin's work. So again, check out that information in the description below, because there's a video where I go into the exact problem I was having, and I'm just kind of forgetting right now. So even though you can navigate on the Motorola, and I think Chris, the hiking guy, he likes it more than I do, I would actually never take the Motorola Defy out. I just wouldn't. Sorry, Chris. Sorry to disagree with you. It's just not my favorite. It's probably my least favorite satellite communicator, but you know, you might like it. Here's the thing about it. It is inexpensive. It does give you a way to contact SOS, and I think maybe it's $100 or something like that, and the subscription fee is super low. So there's a reason to get it. If you need something, at least have this on your pack. All right, that's it. There's my overview, my thoughts on it, and not everybody's going to agree with me, but I really wanted you to see, you know, the size. You can see again here, the Messenger is a lot thicker, probably twice as thick, but there's definitely some benefits you get for the Messenger if you want the true communicator. And then with the Motorola Defy, you can navigate and you can see on the screen where you're at, and you can message easily. You can also message easily on this when you sync it with your smartphone, but I just don't like to do that. I do not like to rely on my smartphone. So there you have it, my opinion after about 1 year using both of these devices. Thanks for joining me out here in Colorado at Outdoor Emergency Tech, and I'll see you back in the next video.